When war swept across medieval landscapes, it did not move quietly. It arrived with smoke on the horizon, rumours carried by merchants, and the distant thunder of marching feet. Villages scattered across open fields stood little chance against raiders or rival lords. Yet somehow, amid this constant instability, certain towns became islands of survival. Imagine fleeing your farmhouse with only what you could carry, watching flames rise behind you, and seeing ahead not just walls of stone, but gates opening. Medieval towns were not merely clusters of houses. They were engineered sanctuaries. Behind their walls, thousands could find temporary protection from chaos. But how did these crowded settlements transform into organized refugees, capable of absorbing waves of desperate people? The answer lies in a blend of architecture, law, planning, and social contracts that turned urban spaces into defensive ecosystems. These towns did more than hide civilians. They sustained them, coordinated them, and sometimes even offered new beginnings. In an age defined by conflict, the medieval town quietly perfected the art of collective survival. After the fragmentation that followed the fall of the Roman Empire, Europe entered centuries of shifting borders and frequent warfare. Viking raids along rivers, feudal disputes, and later massive conflicts such as the 100 Years' War forced communities to rethink settlement patterns. In regions like Carcassonne and York, stone walls encircled growing populations. These were not symbolic barriers, they were lifelines. Town charters often granted rights of refuge, allowing peasants from surrounding lands to seek protection during crises. Market squares doubled as mustering grounds, churches became supply depots, guild halls transformed into coordination centres. Over time, towns learned that survival required preparation long before danger arrived. Storage granaries were built within walls. Wells were dug deep to ensure water during sieges. Urban planning evolved not only around trade, but around defence. As conflict intensified across medieval Europe, the fortified town became a magnet in times of fear, a place where structure replaced panic and shared rules replaced chaos. So, how did a medieval town actually absorb an influx of refugees without collapsing? Imagine the gates closing at dusk, guards counting entrants, directing newcomers to designated quarters. Many towns maintained layered defences. First came the outer ditch or moat, slowing attackers. Then the main wall, thick and walkable, allowing defenders to patrol. Inside, streets were narrow by design. That may sound inconvenient, but narrow lanes limited enemy movement if walls were breached. Granaries were centrally located so food distribution could be controlled. You know how modern cities have emergency response plans? Medieval towns had their own versions. Bells signalled curfews. Guild leaders organised labour for wall repairs. Bakers were ordered to increase production using stored grain. Wells and cisterns were protected from contamination. Some towns even assigned refugees temporary work so they contributed to the defence effort. It was not random shelter. It was structured integration. The secret was preparation. Laws, architecture and community hierarchy worked together, turning dense urban space into a coordinated refuge system capable of withstanding prolonged uncertainty. If you're enjoying the content, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned. In today's world, displacement still happens, whether from war, climate disasters, or economic collapse. Modern cities often struggle with sudden population surges. The medieval town offers unexpected lessons. First, resilience begins with infrastructure already in place. Food storage, water security and clear governance cannot be improvised overnight. Second, community roles matter. Medieval guilds provided organisation and accountability, ensuring that every trade contributed to collective survival. Imagine applying that principle now, where neighbourhoods coordinate resources before crisis strikes. Urban planners increasingly study walkable density, mixed-use spaces and decentralised supply storage, ideas medieval towns practised out of necessity. Even the concept of sanctuary cities echoes those earlier charters offering refuge within walls. The lesson is not about returning to stone fortifications. It is about intentional design. Safe zones are built through foresight, social trust, and adaptable infrastructure. When communities prepare together, fear loses some of its power. Medieval towns remind us that protection is not only physical, it is organizational. The image of a medieval town rising behind its walls is more than a postcard from history. It represents a promise made in uncertain times. Within those gates, strangers could become neighbours, farmers could become defenders. Chaos outside could be met with order inside. These towns were imperfect, crowded and vulnerable, yet they demonstrated that resilience is strongest when shared. Stone walls alone did not create safety. Cooperation did. Planning did. Leadership did. In a world where instability can still ripple across borders, the medieval refuge town stands as a powerful example of collective preparation. It shows that survival is not only about strength, but about structure and solidarity. When we design our cities today, we might ask ourselves the same question medieval builders once faced. If danger appeared on the horizon tomorrow, would our communities know how to respond together? If this glimpse into the hidden systems of medieval refuge sparked your curiosity, continue exploring the past. Within its stories lie blueprints for navigating the uncertainties of our own time. If you're enjoying the content, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned